this is the placenta. This isn't a very long cord, but it was just enough for her to get what she needed, right? I mean, it looks really healthy. It's nice. It's a nice size. So there's some really amazing things about the placenta that I really enjoy telling people about. One of them actually is that this is solely made from the DNA from him.
Really?
So none of your DNA is in the placenta.
I had no idea.
Yep. So it's the only organ ever in a woman's body that never belonged to her.
Wow.
Right?
That's pretty crazy.
So that's your organ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
So if you were to eat it, I mean, it's yours. So
It'd probably be good for both of us. Huh?
right? All right, just taking out some of the clots here. It looks really healthy. It's nice and meaty. It's nice and red. There's a little bit of calcifications here, but that's normal, especially for being 41 weeks.
Okay. He's gonna be the one that's gonna
Process it, like dehydrate it?
Yeah.
Good.
So
Okay. Yeah.
anything he needs to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you some tips. So this is the side that was attached to your uterus. Whenever we tell you to keep an eye on your bleeding, it's because you have a wound this big on the inside of your uterus.
Wow.
So all the bleeding that you're gonna have, like maybe even some clotting, it's because of this, that space. So if you start noticing that it tapers off and then it comes back like quite a bit, it's because you're doing too much.
Okay.
Okay? There's two layers to the amniotic sac. There's the amnion and the chorion. Remember I was kind of telling you a little bit about that during your prenatal visits?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to tell if it was like a frank break or if it was just a little bit of a trickle. Sometimes it's the outer layer, so you see distinctly
Wow.
the two layers. And there's usually a light film of fluid between those two layers. Okay?
Okay.
This was where the baby was hanging out the whole time.
So the umbilical cord?
Mm-hmm. So the umbilical cord is right in here, and all the fluid that she was floating in was like this.
And she was inside there, and that was sealed up like
Yep.
a balloon.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
When my water broke, it opened.
Exactly.
Yep.
And plus the baby, plus like everything else like floating around her.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it is, because it's like a gallon of fluid that like is completely encased in here. So if you can imagine this big bubble, like a big balloon, with her and all that fluid.
It's crazy that I could tell my water was fixing to break.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that with either one of them, but I knew that it was
Right.
fixing to break.
I mean, there was a lot of pressure there for sure, especially when I was checking you and when you had that contraction and I just kept my fingers there, like I
Yeah.
could feel it go. Brrr.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. So, and then the other thing is that they call this the tree of life. Whenever you do a print of a placenta, this is the trunk, and then you'll see all these little branches, like the veins coming off of the placenta. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So actually, and I'll see if you can get a video of this. Every placenta, every umbilical cord has two vessels and, sorry, it has 3 blood vessels. There's 2 arteries and a vein. And when you look at this, you can actually see usually it looks like there's a mouth down here, but there's like those 2 blood vessels right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then right down there, that's the vein.
So crazy. That's what fed her, guys.
The what? The fed her,
That's
yeah.
what fed her.
Exactly. So the arteries pump the blood in and like give her all the nutrients that she needs, and then the vein takes out the deoxygenated blood and all the waste. So that's like how all of that happens in the body.
How do they, like, not breathe?
Because they get all of their oxygen from the umbilical cord. They have mucus in their nose, and so everything's just kind of like
Sealed
closed
up.
off. Mm-hmm.
They practice breathing, though, by inhaling the amniotic fluid.
Exactly. And the amniotic fluid is actually a byproduct from their kidneys, which essentially makes it pee. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.